Welcome to the InterViews podcast.
Prima attenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, recoba, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 166 of the InterViews podcast, the official podcast of SempreInter.com. We are here for the post-match reaction of Union Saint-Gilloise versus Inter, which finished 4-0 to the visitors, the second of 3 straight away games for Inter. Goals from Denzel Dumfries in the 41st, Lautaro Martinez in the 46th, Hakan Çalhanoğlu in the 53rd on a penalty, and Pio Esposito, Champions League off the mark in the 76th minute. As always, I am one half of your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Rafa, joined here by Johnny Paterno. Johnny, 7 straight. As Monica in Friends said, 7 straight. I don't know. You don't get that reference?
I don't. No, I don't. I've honestly never really watched Friends.
All right. Well, not the hottest start. But anyway, 7 straight wins heading into the Napoli away game at the weekend. We all know what happened to them today, and we'll talk about what that might mean. But man, the Kivu Army, welcome to the fucking Thunderdome, huh?
Dude, it's beautiful, man. The game, I mean, we'll get into it. It didn't have the best start, but to have that bend not break mentality and be able to come away not only with all the points but in convincing fashion feels great, man. Feels great. Can't wait to dive into this match and be able to dissect it a little bit. And yeah, excited with the 7 wins in a row. And listen, let's hope we're able to continue this trend.
Everything he's saying, in these post matches is beautiful. Let me read a couple quotes to you and get your reaction here. He says the team needed confidence. It had to put last season's disappointments behind it after so many expectations. Football is cruel. Last season had been very well, had lost it. Bitterness plays dirty tricks. They needed confidence and to be understood. They're strong players and they have the fire and desire to work hard. They want to be at the top. I don't look at the ID card. Strong young players need to be given a chance to play. If we wait for them too long, the years pass and they'll never be ready. We need to see what they're made of. When you pair them with good teammates, then everything becomes easier. We need to believe in them and give confidence to strong young players. What is this?
It's an answer from heaven is what it is, man. Like the dude is everything I would want in terms of mentality, in terms of giving opportunity to the youth. I mean, that is music to my ears, truly. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the future with him. I really am. I can't say it enough that I love the confidence that he instills in these guys. And we'll get into it too. There's some other stuff I want to talk about with him. And I think that he made the right calls with certain things and certain substitutions and not substituting certain guys. The man is incredible.
I understand how fickle football can be, and I know that this is a period of the season where things are going well, but there's always that thing in the back of your mind of like, let's not get too high. But also, I think there's a little bit of Interisti not allowing themselves because of how last season finished, because of the disappointment with the Mercato, that they're not letting themselves like enjoy this moment. And you can tell from those first 30 minutes were not good. And you can tell from how Interisti are on Twitter, like they're so nervous, but 2 goals right before the half, and then complete and utter domination of that second half. Like these are really positive signs. It's okay, and honestly, it's a good thing if it takes us a second to get going, and then we stomp them out 4-0. Like, can Interisti allow themselves to just appreciate this moment a little bit?
I mean, they should allow themselves to appreciate this moment. I don't think they will. I think that they will, continue to dwell on the negative stuff and focus on what's wrong and who shouldn't be playing and this and that. And listen, I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of it at times myself, right? Like I can get lost and caught up in the moment as well. But I wasn't discouraged with what I saw. I was a little like, all right, like it's sloppy. We may have underestimated them. I think, Union came out. They were very organized. They made a good point to press anyone who has the ball to try to take away the passing channels in that first half and make it hard on us to be able to move the ball forward, which I think, listen, it was a great start for them, really. I think that they, had this mentality that they can go after us and catch us unprepared, which is exactly what happened. They had 7 chances in the first 6 minutes. That's an incredible start. Unfortunately, I mean, for them, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for them, they just weren't able to capitalize on those opportunities. But that's exactly, if I'm coaching a team and we are inferior talent, that's how I would hope my team would come out and start against a squad like Inter. So the fact that we were able to absorb that pressure, remain calm, which I think, in years past, again, I'm not just trying to take shots at Inzaghi here, but I think in years past, we would have allowed it to overwhelm us. In the past, you could have said that, like, oh man, the amount of changes and substitutions we made going into this match, it was too much in one shot. But we were able to absorb that, and it was remarkable, really, like the way that we were able to handle it that first 30 minutes. And then once it seemed like Union got a little tired, maybe around minute 35, 36, that it looked like they were pressing too much, too fast. And then we were able to start find that space, find openings, especially on the right side, which ideally was not where I would want the ball to have gone, given that right side had a really rough start between Bisek, Fratesi, and Dumfries. But there was
behind the ball there.
Oh, but there was acres of space for them to be able to work in and find opportunities in. And of course, joking around with Tony Mitch, we were bullying Dumfries, and what does he do? Like clockwork, he scores that goal. And hey, you know what? Bullying sometimes works, people.
We got to give it up to Tony Mitch, because within 4 minutes of him tweeting, Lautaro has been our worst striker this season, Lautaro gets on the score sheet. And then within 4 minutes of him tweeting, that was one of the worst misses of all time by Pio Esposito, he gets on the score sheet. So maybe we've caught a little lightning in the bottle with Tony Mitch's tweets here. And
maybe he is the guy. Maybe he is the secret sauce for this club. I might just tell him to tweet what I'm thinking, and then maybe things will, take into effect, because it was actually kind of funny today.
I think you hit the nail on the head as far as why the start of that first half looked the way that it did, when you mentioned just the amount of changes that this team showed today, or that Kivu chose to put on the field today. And that's where we're going to start. Let's start with the decisions around the rotation. So we had called for kind of a full rotation. In the end, we get Devray and Bisek in the back line. We get Fratesi and Zielinski in the midfield. We get Carlos Augusto out left. And we get Pio instead of Boni to partner Lautaro. I think we need to have a conversation about what Kivu's midfield hierarchy looks like right now. For me, it's clear Hakan and Barella are the starters. And he always talks about there's no titolare, but we can be honest about what's going on here. Hakan and Barella are the first names that should go on the sheet, for a big game. Mickey right below that. And then, I don't know if this is the case, but I think Zielinski and Sucic are kind of on the same level. Fratesi slightly below, and Juf all the way at the bottom. Do you think Kivu's kind of seeing it like that? Would you change the way that this sort of hierarchy is looking right now? Because I think there was disappointment on my part included when Sucic wasn't in the starting lineup today.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely disappointed when Sucic wasn't in the starting lineup. I think, and I could be wrong, but I do think that given the lack of opportunities that Fratesi has had, I think he felt that, all right, if I don't start him this game, when am I really realistically going to give him a start? Like, I think that's the only thing that there is to read into it, really. I think he knows what he has in Sucic. I think he doesn't really know what he has in Fratesi and even Zielinski to an extent. I mean, some people were complaining about Zielinski's performance today. I didn't really see a problem with it. I thought that there was like good opportunities. I love, like we always talk about, we love when he drops his shoulder, creates space for himself. He had some good touches around the box and was able to find players and give them opportunities that they just weren't able to capitalize on. I think this was more about Fratesi. Are you someone that we're going to be able to keep and rely on going forward, or are we going to have to move on from you maybe in January? I don't think this start only came from Kivu. I think there may have been some influence from upper management. Again, I'm just speculating, right? Like, I don't know anything. I'm not in the know, but I just think that exactly could be the point of what's took place here today. And listen, I saw some good things. I saw some things I didn't like. I'm not going to just shred Fratesi. He is not my favorite player. I don't think that his style of play really fits this team. But against inferior talent, I think that he has an opportunity to be able to do some things for this club and give some guys some much needed rest.
This game, with regards to the three midfielders that have been trying to break through into the starting midfield, I think it confirmed everything that we know about them, or that we've been saying about them. So starting with Zielinski, serviceable, but maybe at the point in his career where he's not going to give us anything that Mkhitaryan is not able to give us. He has the talent. He's probably, again, better at linking up in the final third. It also looks like with the substitutions, when Sucic came on, Hakam came off, you saw Zielinski drop into Regista. It looks like that is one of the roles that Kivu sees him in. It's just, Zielinski is a serviceable player for us. He's never going to break into the upper echelon in this midfield, and we're probably going to look to move off of him as soon as possible. Agree or disagree?
If by soon as possible you mean next summer, that's what I would agree with. I don't think you do it obviously in January. I think that he's a player that can still serve a purpose. But I do think this is going to be his last year in intercolors. I think that's fair to say.
With Fratesi, fair to say that this was also confirmation that he's also never going to break into a starting role for in this midfield. Never going to break into that higher tier. He doesn't have enough tools. And when you see him in build-up, it wasn't bad today, but it's not his thing. He's not comfortable doing it. It doesn't look like he's ever going to take that step into building up in a way that this midfield really needs. You see it evidenced in like passing way behind Dumfries. Like, in football, when a quarterback underthrows a receiver or throws behind him, it's the same thing when Dumfries was making a run. Fratesi just played it behind him. It's just
every time.
It's not coming off the way that it should. And I think that today's game was further confirmation of that. And Sucic, like we've been saying, when he first came on, there were giveaways and he did not look strong into it. But then towards the end of the game, he was doing his thing. And it's more, again, that we've been saying, confirmation of like, he's not sub onto the game kind of player. He needs touches from the beginning, get himself into rhythm, and then he can do his thing.
100%. I mean, yeah, like I would agree with you with everything you just said. Like, I don't think there is anything that I would change with it. I love Sucic. I was a little like, oh man, here we go. Like, if he's gonna have a bad, game off the bench, people are just gonna come in and rip him apart, and we're just going to hear like, oh, see, this is why Mickey starts over him. Like, and I don't understand why you want to attack a young player. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. We've seen what he's capable of. We've seen the assist that he has provided. He should have had one today. He played a great, almost Pirlo-like no-look pass right to Fratesi, and he just didn't finish it.
Yep.
If he does, like, we're not even considering this like a mid performance for him. But Sucic is the superior player. He fits the system much better. He offers so much more than what Fratesi can do. And there's even times when tracking back on defense where he just looked out maneuvered multiple times. Niang was giving him a couple of fits on that left side. I mean, our right side, their left side, where he was able to just dribble past them and go, into the attacking third. And
he's an annoying player.
I mean, he was an annoying player. Listen, I've never really watched much of him. Like, I'll be honest. Like, obviously, I didn't sound like I pay attention to the Belgian league here. But that was a player that gave us a hard time there, and also he kind of gave Bisek a hard time too. If you really want to dive into it in the first half, but yeah, it's I think that this is really all we're ever going to see from Fratesi, and I think that he is a player that is better suited for other clubs that may play more to his strengths. I mean, Sassuolo did that very well. They kind of knew what they had, and he was almost used as like a third striker, not so much a second striker, kind of behind Raspadori and Scamacca there. But I think that's what he's best at, is just making runs into the box, finding pockets of space where he's able to take shots for himself and score. But if you need him to press and help in the build up and provide passing and assists, that's just not his game, unfortunately, and it probably never will be.
Inter's in a precarious situation with Fratesi, because if you're going to keep his value at a level that allows you to get 30 to 35 mil for him, he needs to be doing what we've seen him do during his Inter career, which is pop up with big goals, be like a super sub late on. But the more you try to integrate him, the more you start him from the beginning, it's where his limitations come through. So then his value is going to take a hit. Every other team can scout that. So it's kind of like you're playing this game of like,
just let him play for the national team. It's the only time he shows up. So let's have a handshake deal with Gattuso to, hey, you got to start him, let him play, let him score, and then we'll get him out of here. Thanks.
I would just, it may lead to more of what we saw last year, where you have Beppe starting the January transfer rumors with Fratesi. I don't think at this point in time it's going to upset the squad. Last year was all they talked about, but I think with Fratesi at this point, you put him back in the role that he had previously, where he's not starting. He's just coming in from the bench, scoring goals against tired legs, and then maybe somebody puts in a bid for him in January, and we move on to someone else. I don't dislike the player or the person. It's more so I think we can safely say what he is, and we don't have to pretend like he can be part of this midfield in the future. It is what it is.
You're too politically correct. I do not like the player. I don't like anything about Davide Fratesi. I will stand by this still to this day. He was a mistake signing. I wanted Samardzic from the beginning then. The only reason that didn't work out is because of his stupid father interfering with finishing this deal and trying to get more money for himself out of it. So if he didn't have a helicopter dad, who knows? Maybe we're not even in this conversation, and Fratesi would have been the one going to Napoli, and Raspadori would have still been there for the taking, and whatever could have happened. That was originally what was, the rumor anyway. So, and Roma wanted him too. My goodness, I wish they would have gotten him, because maybe Kone would have been available, instead of, going to Roma. But it is what it is. I'm not a fan, and I look forward to the day that he's no longer at this club, because he's just not Inter quality.
I don't think it will be much longer, if I'm honest with you.
I agree.
January or the summer. And we'll take a hit on the deal. We won't make money on it.
Which stinks, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. You're right.
I think if we just break even, I'll be happy, to be honest.
Even if it's slightly under at this point, he scored big goals for us and got us to good places. So it's like you take a hit.
Sorry, I fell asleep.
Oh. Last thing on Sucic here. Do you think that we might need to start playing him more on the right-hand side of this midfield three? because I do think maybe that's where he needs to be. And I think maybe in the future, you end up with Barella, Regista, Stankovic on the left, and Sucic on the right.
I think that's a future problem. I don't think he looks that uncomfortable on the left side. He did have some good moments on there. Like I said, the pass to Fratesi, he had a ball that he played off to Boni that was well struck. He had acres of space to run into and was able to work within that. He drew a good foul that led to a free kick opportunity. Like, I don't think it matters really what side you put him on. Yeah, maybe he is better and more comfortable on the right, but when you have a player of that caliber and that talent level, I don't think it really makes a difference. And if you surround him with talented players, I think that he'll be able to express himself in the ways that he is, best fitted to do so. So maybe in the future, yeah, when you have Barella, Regista, Stankovic on the left and you want him to play on his favored right side, that works out, no problem. But for now, I'm not reading too much into it. And, if you want to keep playing him on the left, fine. If Barella's okay moving to the left and to allow Sucic to continue to grow and develop, then go ahead and do that as well. Like, I don't think it really makes a difference one way or another, though.
Let's talk about Pio.
We're going right into it. Okay.
Thuram goes down. It shifts over to Boni. Boni contributes. Now it switches over to Pio. You have the chance here. Assist in the first half. Bad miss in the second half. Made up for it with the goal. And I will say that's making up for it for me. Everyone has missed chances. Everyone misses chances. You redeem yourself. In my eyes, you redeem yourself. Outside of the 2 goal contributions, 3 big chances created, 2.27 expected goals plus expected assists. He did his job. He combined well. He was tough to move around. I thought this was, and I know the conversation is right now on Twitter about the miss, and he's got to do better. He absolutely has to do better. But I think this was a highly, highly encouraging performance in the Champions League for the 20-year-old kid.
I'm going to disagree, and I only am because that miss was massive. And if you look at the way the relief in this kid's face and the hug that he has with Boni after he does finally put the chance away, I feel like that could have been bad for him if he didn't get that opportunity to finally score and get that exhale,
Yeah.
So listen, I before the miss, I loved the hold-up play. I thought he did a great job linking up with Lautaro, linking up with the midfield, allowing them time to recover and gain, into the space themselves. Amazing. He had a few other misses in the first half. One that he, sailed over. One that he pushed wide. The header that he sailed over, and the other one that he pushed wide with I think it was his left foot. But that ball that was played to him with the biggest empty net he may ever get.
Yep.
That miss, I was truly worried that could hurt him mentally and what that could have and the ramifications it could have going on for the rest of the season. But
it weighed on him. You could see
you saw it.
Aftermath.
You saw how it weighed on him. And I will give him credit that even before the goal scored, he was still asking for the ball in the box. He had a chance that Fratesi wasn't able to get to him, but he was still calling for it at his feet. He wanted it where he wanted it. I did love that. It may have been weighing on him still, but the fact that he had the mentality that I am still going to go after it and try to get a goal is incredible for I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use, but really, it's just incredible for his psyche, I guess, to have that and to not allow it to take him out of the game. Yes, it may weigh on him, but it's not going to pull him out and make him scared to do other interactions and have other chances on goal. The way that he was finally able to get that ball in and slide in and finish that cleanly, incredible. I give him a lot of credit for that, but it did scare me. I will say that. If he didn't get that goal, I was worried of what it could happen.
Taking away assessing the performance as a fan from Pio, assess it as Kivu. Assess it as the coach of this 20-year-old kid that you've been with for a long time. What can Kivu take away from what Pio did today? 90 minutes.
I don't think he's going to take anything away, but I am going to say this, and I'm glad you brought up Kivu because I did want to bring this up too. Credit to Kivu for leaving him in the full 90. You could have done something truly damaging by taking him off after that miss. It would have been well in his right to do that, to want to take him off, let him, maybe talk to him, let him sit on it. Tons of credit. And maybe he didn't want to do it because of, wanting to rest Lautaro. Thuram is out. You don't really have another option out. Very well could have been. You could have thrown Fratesi up and maybe taken him off, thrown Diouf on. It could have happened. But a huge shout out to Christian Kivu for leaving him in there, allowing him to work through that, allowing him to grow and mature. That is what you want to see with these young players. And then the words that you shared of what he wants to do with the youth and allowing them to make the mistakes and grow, that's amazing. And I think that that's going to be massive for Pio being able to grow his game, Pio to become and develop into the striker that he is. We all hope and pray that he could be. So, I mean, hats off to him. I think what he saw is like, I made the right call by leaving him out there, by showing faith in my young striker and allowing him to have the confidence to still go in and have an immediate impact, a massive impact, and bury this game with that fourth goal.
And bury it he did. Someone who was having trouble burying things in the first half was definitely Pio's strike partner, Lautaro Martinez. Two bad misses. The one where he shot it straight at the keeper, and then the one where he attempted to round him after the giveaway from USG onto his left foot. Those are not great.
Nope.
He makes that go away with the goal. Great layoff from Pio, and then rifled it into the top corner. Is Lauti kind of lucky that the kids are doing well right now, where he's scoring his goals, but maybe the performances, it's always going to look great from a defensive standpoint and a pressing standpoint and a grinta standpoint. But maybe he hasn't had his shooting boots on yet this year. Is he kind of lucky that everyone else around him has been firing on all cylinders, so this kind of stuff goes under the radar a little bit?
I don't think so. And I think if you take away, the misses, but you look at the goal line clearance he had in the first half, that saved a goal. So even if he didn't score, he kept them off the score sheet. Like, how many strikers do you see doing that with goal line clearances ever? I can't think of any, to be honest. I'm not just saying this because I'm an Interista. I can't think of a single striker who's done that recently. I'm sure if I go back in time, I could find one. But that was massive in how early that game was, and how early it was in the game, I should say. How that could have been, maybe not a backbreaker, because I don't think that USG would have had the ability to hang on to a one-goal lead like that. But that could have galvanized their team and given them a little bit of faith that they can go and take this game to Inter. So I think that the clearance is just as important as the goal that he did score. I give him a little bit more of a break. I think that he's looked the sharpest he's ever been. I think he has done even better with his pressing, even better with his dropping back and being able to help the midfielders and with recoveries and stuff. I am more happy that I'm seeing more of a complete game from Lautaro than even like last year, where, yes, the goals weren't there, that he was missing a lot of chances, but he also looked slow, sluggish, and he just looked like his brain wasn't catching up to what his feet wanted to do. And I'm thrilled with that he was able to, get that goal and be able to have the impact that he had with it. So I'm not going to read too much into it by any means. I do think that, it is a bonus for him that Boni and Pio are able to have the impact that they're having and being able to contribute on the goal sheet and stuff. But I'm not going to allow it to really change the way I look at Lauti, because everything else that was lacking from last season, he's making up for it clearly this year.
Yeah, and I think it also can't be understated that he's been playing so much, and with Thuram
so much.
Thuram out here, it's good for him to have gotten subbed off in the 59th minute. Like that's an early sub for Lautaro. And he's scored against Napoli before, so let's see if he's able to bring the goals this weekend. But nonetheless, he's scoring in the Champions League for sure. I think that's is that his third or fourth goal in the Champions League this year?
That's his third goal.
Third.
Third? Did he score in the first match too?
He scored.
I know he scored 2 against Prague, but
and then the first match was against who? Man, I'm forgetting.
Yeah, me too. Let me. Now I'm gonna pull it
up. Another player that I think from the 40th minute on in the first half, all throughout the second half, until he got subbed off for Luis Enrique, Denzel Dumfries was incredible today. Absolutely incredible. Dominated on the right-hand side. For all that talk about whether or not he fits in Kivu's system, maybe we were right, and it was just like not a down gain for him last time out against Roma. Today he was full of grinta, flying up and down that right-hand flank. The crossing was much better. And when he does just drill it low and put it into the box on a low cross like that, it is much more dangerous. That's what he needs to do. He needs to just blast it across the box and have it, ping around guys like Lautaro and Pio to make something happen. Denzelone scoring in the Champions League, it's been pretty consistent with him as of late.
Yeah, it seems to be this is where he shines the most, right? He's able to show up in the bright lights of the UCL, and that's what we want, right? We want him to show up in the big games, show up when it matters. He always seems to be ready for whatever type of derby comes across or whatever it is that has to take place in the UCL. So hey, if this is what's going to happen and he's going to drop a stinker against a club like a Roma, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to dwell too much into it. So yeah, hats off to him for sure.
26 of 28 passing.
That's shocking, but great.
Not wearing the Timberlands today.
Not today, no.
Was keeping it neat and tidy, which I guess you've got to if you have the likes of Fratesi and Bisek around you. So let's kick it back to Bisek here. I don't think it was too impressive of a game from him in the first half. I do think when he was moved back to center back, when Akanji came on for De Vrij to start the second half, I thought that was an interesting wrinkle from Kivu, because you would imagine that Bisek would stay at right center back, and Akanji would go to center back. Why do you think that Kivu decided to go with Bisek in the middle, and how do you think he performed in that role?
Yeah, I have no idea why he decided to move Bisek into the middle. I wish I had, an answer for that. But my goodness, did he actually look way more comfortable in the middle than he's looked on the right side? I'm actually kind of surprised. I was a little concerned that moving him into the middle and leaving Akanji out there would lead to USG wanting to just push things through the middle of the pitch and wanting to find pockets of space to be able to exploit Bisek, maybe pull him out of position and then have runners coming in at an angle to sneak in behind him. But he was really able to rise up to the challenge. I think that he played strong. He was good in the air a few times, and I thought that his read of the game and being able to intercept passes and be able to start, the counter on the opposite direction was better than you see him on the right. I don't know if maybe he's a little too reliant on De Vrij or Acerbi in the middle and allowing them to maybe be more of the general there, and being afraid maybe to take risks or be able to, put himself in a bad position, then it pulls, an Acerbi out of position as well. But I thought that it was a much improved player in the second half, having him slide into the middle as opposed to keeping him on the right side. And maybe that, some people had called for that, thinking that Bisek would be better in the middle. I was not one of them, but hey, maybe Kivu is seeing something in training that I clearly am not seeing, and I liked, what he was able to do today. So hats off to him, because there was a bit of a concern on whether he would. I was actually going to come in here and ask, like, do we think we try to move him in January based on the first half? Because I was not very impressed with him at all, and second half it was like a complete 180, and I'm thrilled at the way that he was able to perform there.
He plays the position differently than everyone else, right? It seems like he really plays off of his man. He doesn't stay nearly as tight to the people around him as Acerbi does, as Akanji does. He gives them a lot more space, and he makes himself really big in front of them. Personally, I don't love that style of defending, but it worked today. He was 5 out of 6 on ground duels won, 2 out of 3 on aerials won. He felt very comfortable in the passing, and he typically does, 94 out of 98, the most passes in the match. So this was an encouraging performance for him. It's interesting that it does come more so from being in the center than on the right. I don't think we're going to see much more of it. Unless there's, an injury to someone in the back line, knock on wood, I don't think we'll see a lot more of it. And despite the fact that it was a really good performance today, I don't think that he breaks past Akanji or De Vrij or Acerbi just yet for more minutes.
No, I agree.
We could even potentially see him out left. If Bastoni needs a rest, then Carlos and DiMarco, can't shift back there. That could be an option. His versatility is pretty good, and it was a decent game, a good game from him today. Not decent. All right, let's talk about the rest of these players here. De Vrij not getting a ton of love today. Not a great first half. A lot of chances given away to Union early on. What do you make of the Dutchman's performance?
Yeah, not his best. You were hoping that he would kind of rise to the opportunity, right? To want to maybe put a little pressure on Acerbi and give him a little bit of concern to look over his shoulder and be like, hey, I need to be on my game, where this guy will step in, no problem here. But that doesn't mean you can't rely on De Vrij, right? Like, this seems to be a common thing with him the last couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years even. Where he can play great for 2 or 3 games, and then he has like a mediocre game, and then he's able to get back to himself. Like, I still think that he is going to be able to offer something for this club. But it just may mean that, Acerbi needs to be the one that's relied upon in the bigger matches. Even if I like to think that, his pace would be a little bit better here as opposed to Acerbi's, grunt work and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to really concern myself with too much. And I know that, God forbid, if we need him to step up, he typically is able to rise to that as well. So,
do you think the substitution had anything to do with performance or purely yellow card based?
I don't want to sit here and think that it's, here we go with another Inzaghi situation, but I do think, given, that it was 2-0 at the time, if you risk him getting a red, does that change the whole game, right? Does that give USG the opportunity to equalize or make it a 2-2 game at some point? Who knows? So I think it was more Kivu being safe and wanting to protect his player and protect the squad, really, and not have something that could have changed the outcome altogether. So that's all I'm going to think about that.
Do you know who Fatmob had as their man of the match?
I do. I'm a little surprised.
It did not occur to me, and then I opened up his card here. 5 saves, 1.6 goals prevented, 5 diving saves, 4 inside the box. Sommer had a much better game than I was really even thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say anything negative. Of course, I did have a great game. I thought he had a few big saves for sure. Definitely surprised that he was the highest rated player, but his passing was on point. I thought good distribution, good diving saves. He was quick, and again, the rebound control. It is funny to me that in games where you think that he's going to underperform, and I mean because of the weather aspect, where the balls could be more bouncy, where there could be the elements could affect the trajectory of a ball and stuff like that. It seems that he seems to, handle rain better than most goalkeepers I've seen, to be quite honest. And listen, tip of the cap to him. He has recovered very nicely from the horror show that was the match with Juve, and I think that just shows that, one, you have a manager who backs you and instills confidence, and two, you are a mental giant where you're just not going to allow one negative performance. Although it's in a derby and fans can hold it over your head. I know I was one of them, of course. But you're able to overcome that adversity and show that why you're among, the best shot stoppers in the world. And I still do believe that. I think that he is one of the best. And I think you'll go down as one of the most underappreciated goalkeepers, not just of our generation, but of all time, unfortunately.
I think I know what it is. It's because that Promise David shot in the 31st minute had an expected goal on target of 0.94, and he saved it. So
the one that he messed up, that he mishit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of funny, but
Towards
okay.
the right of Summer.
Yeah.
Hakan gets on the score sheet. Penalty was very good today.
Perfectly placed. Yep.
Perfectly placed. Did his job. These three players, Carlos Augusto, Alessandro Bastoni, and Hakan Çalhanoğlu, just really solid today. We're going to remember this game for what we saw from Pio. We're going to remember this game for what we saw from Dumfries. But Chala, Basto, and Augusto just keeping up the form that they've been on all season.
Yeah, I mean, just consistent guys who continue to come through for us, continue to perform at great levels. And I mean, I don't know what more I could actually say about that trio. So I love them all. I'm glad that we have them at our disposal. I'm glad that the summer drama is put behind Hakan and that he is able to continue to perform for us and help us in every way.
And really, really good, really, really good that the substitutions in the 59th minute were Lautaro, Hakan, and Bastoni coming off the pitch.
Yep.
Heading into the game against Napoli, you couldn't have drawn it up any better than that. Augusto gets the full 90. DiMarco comes in and gets the last 30 minutes of the game. Dimash was on it too. He's stepping on the field.
That captain armband bump. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was really good to see for him to get the armband there, captaining his hometown club in the Champions League for the first time. He looked good, and it's not anything less than we can expect. These guys like Hakan, Bastoni, Carlos Augusto, Dimash, just very, very solid and consistent. Akanji came in and he was really solid and consistent. And they've been like that all season. So let's hope for more of the same. Let's do one more player here before we get into some of the questions that we got from you guys. Angelo Amboni came in the 59th minute. He gets the assist for Pio. Links up super well with the rest of the team. Just great. 21 years old. Just great.
Yeah, phenomenal player. I think that he just brings immense value. It's funny that the negative remarks about him saying that we should have gone, some saying we should have gone for Lorenzo Luca. Some saying, we wasted 25 million euros. He's not worth this, whatever it may have been. And he is exceeding all expectations. He is performing at a top level. And I think when you surround a player of that caliber and that potential with this amount of talent, that you're going to be able to bring out the best in him. And he's shown it once again. He probably could have had a couple more assists, to be quite honest. It's tough. It's tough though. When it's just a couple kids up top, and mistakes can happen. But he is not shy of the big moments, and he is able to perform. And I am thrilled that we have him. And I think that you can make a serious case that he could be already the signing of the season in Serie A. Yeah,
that shifted quickly from Sucic to now Bunny is I think we're all really, really enjoying what we've been
I think
seeing
Suchis
from
will
him.
still go down as the steal of the Mercato.
I certainly hope so. The minutes needs to get better. But also the more you play Zielinski and Fratesi at this point, the more maybe you've got to trust what Sucic can give you. So we'll see how that plays out. Luis Enrique also came in the 77th minute. I don't have anything really to talk about from his performance. Do you?
Nah, he didn't really do too much. Not much
Wasn't.
of a impact or anything to write home about.
Not involved.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to your questions. Yes, that Andre. Do you guys remember a goalkeeper we once had called Josep Martinez? Sommer much improves of late, but Martinez back to the bench. Rumors on new keepers for next season. Is Martinez on the out? I don't think he is. I think, this was just riding the
I think
hot
it's
hand.
I think that, and I think it's just news outlets having nothing to report on, so they got to talk about something. I really don't think that we're going to be moving for any goalkeeper. I think the only thing we might do is buy back Stankovic and loan him out again, if anything, just so you have him for the future, because maybe he becomes the Inter number 2 whenever Sommer retires or his contract runs out. So. Yeah, I'm not going to stress about it. I think when you have an experienced player like Sommer, you like you said, you ride the hot hand, and I think it's always good to have a goalkeeper with the potential and the abilities that Pep has. So, yeah, I'm not reading too much into it.
So how many games have we played this year? Was it 7 in the league or? Hold on. All right, so we've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. And out of those 11, we've had 3 Josep Martinez starts? Or 2?
I think it was 3.
3. So that's, you don't want to have, do you really want to have a greater ratio of that kind of rotation? Because I don't think the rotating keeper straight up has ever really worked out very well. Like, I think it's okay to have a 1 and a 2, and that 2 gets games when they can get him in.
Yeah, I think that when you do that, when you try to do an even split, it causes more problems than it solves. You could have different styles of communication with the backline, which could lead to errors. You could have lack of consistency from each goalkeeper. So I think it's best that you have the 1 and then you have the 2, and then you don't confuse it any more than that. And listen, hats off to Sommer for recovering. Of course, that I was saying that his best is behind him, and sure, it was reactionary. I was angry about the loss to Juve, but he's not allowed to dwell on him and just stepped up in a big way, especially these last 2 matches.
Peter Jordan, Bisek at CCB seems better as he has more support around him, but his read on the game still isn't great. Great result after a very poor start. I would like to see Sucic on the right instead of the left, but good to rest the key players before the trip to Naples. Please for PO, plus a strange occurrence, a night off for Barella. Oh yeah, we didn't talk. Barella gets a full week of rest heading into Napoli, which we need him.
Bad news for Naples.
And Mkhitaryan gets a full night off.
But he didn't bring that up, so I don't know why you had to.
With two of our starting 3 in
he
the
didn't
midfield.
Bring it up. Why did you feel the need to bring it up? No, it's obviously better for us, and we'll see. After Napoli got their cheeks clapped 6-2, how they decide to show up, if at all, this weekend.
Real quick, just because it's brought up, Nima did mention it. Nima would lose his mind if Napoli got a result like this in the Champions League, but it's very reserved when Inter does it. But anyway, he did say that Napoli's going to be foaming at the. Of course, Napoli's going to be foaming at the mouth this weekend. I agree with him.
Stop. Because you know what? And I'm going to call him out on this too, because it actually does bother me now. It really does. He said that Antonio Conte would have a point to prove in the UCL. You know what he's proving? That he is the most overrated manager in world football. That is it. You have every advantage ahead of you. You got more players into your squad to be able to challenge on multiple fronts.
But Johnny, they only cost 20 million. They only cost 25 million. So remember,
It was
that's
it was
not.
100 million spent. It was 100 million spent. I don't want to hear it.
I'm just saying his words.
I don't want to hear
It doesn't. In his words, it doesn't matter that
Don't
they
care.
spent.
See, the guy has nothing but excuses. He is the biggest baby. I can't stand him. I really can't. And I hope that we demolish them this weekend. I need at least a 2-0 victory over these bums because they are so overrated. If they start Meret instead of Milinkovic, either way, we own both keepers, so I don't really care. But I want to come out and dominate this bum. And because you know what he's going to do? He's going to try to get an early goal, and he's going to try to hang on for dear life for a 1-1 draw. That's what he's going to do. And he's the most predictable manager in Serie A. And I think that, listen, if Torino could beat them, we should have no issue beating them because they are absolute frauds. Frauds. You lost to PSV. You gave up 6 goals to Parma great Dennis Mann with an absolute rocket into the corner.
Sick goal.
Disgusting goal. Love Dennis Mann. And I am so glad that he scored against this guy. Freaking Napoli, bro. Their fans are annoying. Their whole Twitter fan base is the worst. In Serie A, there's another fan base. I won't get into it now, but they are definitely among the worst. Napoli fans. They just drive me insane. And I hope Riverside, if you're listening to this, when you make me the little clips that you do make me to post on social media, I want the Napoli rant to be on here. Okay, Riverside, listen. Thank you.
How good the AI is.
Let's see how good it is.
I'm not worried about this match from a matchup standpoint.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be.
I am like nervous for they could play a little too hard if you catch my drift, you know? Like not Inter, I'm talking about Napoli can
with who? Who's going to play
dirty.
hard? Who's going to play hard on that team? They're all soft. Kevin De Bruyne looks like he's on vacation still. Eating all the arancini and the pizza and the gelato, everything. He looks like a fat, tubby self still, in my opinion. Sure, he scored some nice goals. Whoop-de-doo. You got McTominay, who looks like he doesn't really seem to fit in the system now with them trying to make, De Bruyne work with him. He's kind of a little bit of a regression. We haven't figured out what to do with the back line.
Scored 2 goals today.
Scored 2 goals today. Okay, did they win? Okay, cool. You gave up 6. You're going to tell me he had a fantastic match himself?
Lorenzo Luca, red card. Buongiorno, own goal.
Red card for Lorenzo Luca. Fantastic. Buongiorno looking like buonanotte right now, right? Good night. Your season's probably over. You were overrated.
Who were we? We were linked to like Diego Buonanotte a long time ago, right? I thought he was
Facundo Buonanotte. And he's at Chelsea with the rest of the players who sit on the bench. So, Brighton cashed in. Good for them. Yeah. Let's see. Buongiorno 3.4. Lorenzo Luca 4.9. Sam Bakuma. Do people remember you wanted Sam Bakuma at Inter? You thought, he'd be a good guy to take place in the center. Bum. Absolute bum, this guy. 2 straight matches below a 6. Trash. The only reason McTominay got anything above in it is because he scored the 2 goals. Bro, I'm not worried about these guys. Are the most overrated bums. All of them. Spinazzola, Di Lorenzo. If I see a Di Lorenzo call up to the national team one more time, I might crash out because he just dropped a 4. You know what? Those are the kind of girls I would take home in college. I just don't. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this anymore. Like this, a 4? What are like? Stop calling him up. When Politano is probably your best player this season, that is not a good sign. Okay, I'm done with picking on Napoli.
Riverside, if you're listening, get that piece too. Okay, right there at the end. Thank you. Marco Morelli, Fratesi inguardabile. The drop off with him compared to Barella is like jumping off a cliff. Yes, we know.
I've been saying that for 2 years.
This is an interesting take. Akanji is top 3 most important players for this team. His entrance in the second half made everything so much easier, made Bisek at CCB look brilliant. Top 3. Bastoni, for me, the most important. Second, Barella and Hakan. So the top 3 would be...
So now he's double dipping. He's trying to give two...
The top 3 most important players on the team are Bastoni, Barella, and Hakan. For me.
For me, Barella, Bastoni.
Mkhitaryan?
I'm just gonna end the episode after that comment. Everybody have a good night. Man, it's tough to land on a third. You can make a case for...
What's the biggest drop off in the team? Is it Dumfries?
It might. You can make a case for Dumfries. You can make a case for Akanji because the drop off is Bisek, right?
Yep, that is.
Like
I would say it's Dumfries to Luis Enrique is probably the same as Akanji to Bisek.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but then if you look at Barella as Hakan's backup, then the drop off.
Then you have to take Barella. You have to take Hakan off.
Hakan out.
Yeah.
There's so far very little drop off top, very little drop off on the left wing back. So I think for sure it's Bastoni and Barella. Maybe it is Akanji. This is a good question. Maybe we should pose it to the fans, to the listeners, see what they think.
Let's do it.
All right, that's it for this episode. I think Inter 4-0 win in the Champions League match week 3, 9 points. Anyone else have 9 points? Let's see.
Yeah.
Barcelona, right?
Barcelona does.
No, they don't.
I literally had. Oh no, I'm sorry. PSG does and
PSG.
Arsenal does.
See this? You see
and
this?
And then it's Bayern Munich could go to 9 points. Real Madrid could go to 9 points. Wouldn't that be funny if they beat Juventus? And that's it. So yeah.
Today, ceiling for Inter in Europe, in your opinion?
Today, I'll say the ceiling. Let's go with the semifinals. I think the ceiling today.
I think they can get to the final.
I don't know if I want to get to the.
I know.
I don't know if I just don't know if I could take a third straight loss in 4 years? Third loss in 4 years?
It could be the end of the show.
Like I especially if we go another one without scoring in the final. Nah, bro, I don't know. I don't know if my heart can take that. I
like this team better than last year. So far.
Oh, this team is way more complete, top to bottom, than last year. Without a question.
I might like this coach better than the last coach that we had.
It's not even a might for me. I do like this coach better than the last coach we had.
I like this coach, Johnny.
That last coach was a mental midget. He was a coward. He was afraid. And he quit on his team in the final, and I never will forgive him for that. Never. And then Nima's... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if Nima's dream comes true, that he comes back to Serie A and he goes to Juve, of all clubs, okay.
It's on.
Yep.
Listen, there potentially is more adversity for Kibu down the road, but this season started pretty tough. This whole summer was pretty tough, and he's showing me something. I'm moved. I
mean, yeah, you look at the drama with Hakan, the Lookman debacle that got dragged out for most of the summer. Panic buying Diouf. Like this had a recipe for an absolute disaster of a season, and Kibu's out there like, I don't care. This is my club.
It wasn't just like Italian Football Pod and the rest of Inter Twitter saying that Kivu's not going to make it to December. The Italian media was saying it.
Mm-hmm.
The Italian
Mm-hmm.
media was saying it too. And we're sitting here recording our 7th straight win pod.
Maximum points in the Champions League, 0 goals allowed. I have no complaints.
Life is good so far.
Cannot wait. It's going to be a tough end for the Champions League for us. We have to win against, I never know how to say their name, Kairat Almaty or whatever.
Carpet Almaty. Carpet?
Kairat? Or I don't think it's Carpet.
Oh, it's Kairat
Almaty, whatever. Yeah. We got to get maximum points there because then it's Atletico, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Atletico was poor today against Arsenal.
They were poor, yeah. I mean, but I also, I mean, it is what it is. You
can never count them out. You can't.
You can't. They're such a strong team. Diego Simeone is a fantastic manager. I'm not too concerned with that. Liverpool, there's some chinks in their armor.
Yep.
I think that we could be able to take them, especially. I mean, although it's going to be at Anfield, but then home against Arsenal, that could be massive for us.
The tie.
And that actually, I mean, right now, potentially could be a final.
It could be.
And if that's the final you give me, I'll feel better about my chances. However, if we lose to Arsenal, I may never recover. We may have to end the show if we were to lose to Arsenal in a final.
It would have been an amazing run.
No, don't give me the amazing run stuff. I would be in shambles. You would have to find a new co-host.
Man. Maybe
and when your options are Huion and Sean from Alabama, I don't know how that's going to play. No, I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. Settle down.
Yeah. All right. Interisi, we'll see you this weekend. Big game at the Maradona against Napoli. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, Forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.